Arthur Morgan is a fierce fighter and killer, a cowboy and a gangster who survived out in the wilds of the western frontier for years. But how would Arthur do in a different setting? Taking him out of the wild, wild west, placing him in the horrors of the Last of Us zombie apocalypse. Can Arthur Morgan survive? Well, today, that's what we're going to try and figure out. Now, let's make one thing clear. The Last of Us is a seriously hard zombie apocalypse to survive in. The infected in Last of Us are seriously deadly and seriously powerful. And they come in all different stages, starting out with runners, then stalkers, then clickers, and lastly, bloaters. And some worse stuff than that, but I think there's only one Rat King out there. The runners are the weakest out of the infected. They're the ones who have most recently turned from the cordyceps virus. While they are fast and agile, they're actually really weak. Like pretty much anything can work against these guys. You can overpower them, and even punch them to death with just a few hits. The biggest problem when facing down runners is just simply sheer numbers. They move in herds and can overwhelm survivors if they're not being careful. But just a few on their own are relatively easy to take care of. The stalkers are the next stage out of the infected. A scary combination of the runners, because they can still see and are very fast, but they're way more ferocious now, a lot like the clickers. They're smart and will run around and hide from humans, stalking them from the shadows and jumping out at just the right moment, hence the name. They're also a lot stronger than runners. It's actually hard to overpower them, and Joel can't just punch their face in. You really have to use weapons to beat them. Otherwise, it's a good chance that you're gonna get bit. Next up are the clickers. It takes about a year for an infected to reach this stage, as the fungus has completely consumed their head, making it so that they can't see and are forced to rely on echolocation. So now people are able to sneak around clickers. But if they ever get heard or found out, well, watch out. Clickers are superhumanly strong now. If they grab a hold of a human, well, that person is very likely dead. They're also really tough to put down. That fungus on their head actually forms a sort of helmet armor, making headshots nearly impossible. It takes quite a few bullets to finally put them down. Then last but not least, bloaters. They're the last stage in the fungus's life cycle and are definitely the most dangerous infected out there. They're slower and are still blind like the clickers, but are stupid strong and insanely tough. All the fungus all over the body just acts like armor. So bloaters are immune to a lot of attacks, and they're strong enough to literally rip people in two. If a bloater gets its hands on you, you're pretty much dead. They're also able to throw mycotoxin sacs at humans, which explode on contact and spray deadly toxic gas everywhere and all over everyone. Bloaters are pretty weak to fire, but that's kind of the only way to reliably beat them. Other than that, they're really hard to take down. But Arthur Morgan is a man not to be taken lightly. Arthur Morgan is one of the Vanderlyn gang's most notable members, is Dutch's toughest, most dependable, and accomplished follower. He's always ready to do whatever is necessary to support the group, but underneath it all, well, Arthur Morgan is a good man. Arthur's widely regarded as the single most dangerous member of the gang, feared by allies and foes alike as its primary enforcer. With good reason, the man is an absolute beast. Arthur is strong enough to send people flying with his punches, easily kill men with his bare hands. It even extends up to the point where Arthur is able to fight wolves, cougars, bison, or grizzly bears with just his fists and actually win the fight, killing the animals. and then just walk it all off like an absolute champ. The guy's a menace. Not even kidding, Arthur's strong enough to push back grizzlies and overpower cattle and bison in a tug of war. He's basically superhumanly strong. Arthur's also equally just as tough. The man is a brute, has basically superhuman stamina. He can survive gunshots and explosives, can walk off getting mauled by wild animals, can casually take punches from other people, and keep on fighting for hours on end or when seriously wounded. He survived severe torture and punishment by the O'Driscolls, still had enough in him to escape and kill every single O'Driscoll along the way, even as he's dying from tuberculosis, while Arthur just channels his inner Doc Hudson, keeps on going, fighting and killing everyone in his way, and beating Micah with his last dying breath. Arthur's also one of the best gunslingers in the West, an expert with pretty much any weapon that he can get his hands on, and with Deadeye, well, Arthur has an edge in all gunfights. Deadeye allows Arthur to send time to a crawl and basically see the world in slow motion, expertly picking out shots to either cripple or kill his opponents. He tends to use Deadeye in every fight he finds himself in, whether he's confronted by guards, facing off with expert gunslingers, or fighting off swarms of Pinkertons. Even when outnumbered, well, Arthur's never gonna back down. He won't surrender, has no problem fighting dirty if he needs to. He always carries all sorts of weapons on him, ranging from revolvers, bows, lassos, knives, shotguns, rifles, machetes, and tomahawks, even dynamite sticks, and plenty more. End of the day, Arthur Morgan is the epitome of the Wild West, an expert in surviving in the wilderness, hunting legendary animals, a lethal marksman with all sorts of guns, and a ruthless brawler. And ultimately, well, I think Arthur would do super great in the zombie apocalypse. I mean, for starters, the man is a survivor, has been for years. He's an expert hunter, knows how to skin and cook animals, even knows how to use plants and nature in order to prep tonics to help him survive and heal himself and really thrive out in the wild. And not just that, but Arthur's also able to craft weapons. He can improve his bullets, he can create explosive rounds, everything. That's a huge plus for him. He's honestly a better survivor than almost anyone we really see in the Last of Us universe. Guy's good for sure. But it's really just how good Arthur is in a fight, and just how good he is with guns. For starters, he's able to carry a way larger arsenal on him than even Joel. He's got the ability to carry rifles and shotguns and pistols and knives and dynamite and all sorts of weapons. But the man is just so dang good with them. Arthur is an absolute crack shot. He's insanely accurate, and Deadeye is just an absolutely broken ability. The power to slow time down to a crawl, accurately pick out his shots, and then just riddle his enemies with bullets. It's a pretty handy skill to have in the apocalypse. And this isn't like a gameplay mechanic either. It just allows us to see the world from Arthur's perspective for a brief moment in time. With how fast Arthur is on the draw and how accurate he is with pretty much any gun, almost none of the infected are gonna even get close. Basically, Arthur Morgan would do just fine in The Last of Us. He's way too smart, way too skilled, and way too powerful to lose to any of the infected or scavengers out there. He would honestly be one of the only survivors out there that would probably die from old age. Arthur really is that guy.